You are very successful because of awards that you have won, the billions of dollars of exports that you have done. Last episode we did with someone who sold his company to Tata Consumer for 5,000 crores. And he was worried about what will happen to the institution or the wealth that he has created.
Somebody asked me the same question. Mr. Reddy, what happens to this company after you? I said, what happens to the future of these people and my investors if I disappeared and this company went up in flames? So that is when wisdom dawned on me. So what we did, top 100 leaders in the company will have a sealed envelope given to the HR every year saying that who are his potentially two successors. The companies have to be built on values.
You not only predict the future, you actually build that. What are certain things that you're predicting nowadays?
In the next 20, 30 years, whether we like it or we don't like it, AI will be there everywhere.
What was one of the most interesting incidents that happened in a boardroom, sir?
The government had issued a new regulation about 14 days or 15 days before the board meeting. They interpreted it in such a way that I had to write all the losses for future in 1 quarter. To me, trust is a very simple definition. What is it? Under promise, over deliver. That's what I do. If I borrow money from anybody else, at that point of time, you're a custodian of public wealth.
Tell us a problem statement that you want to solve for.
Lots of people bring their children to me. Give us one idea. This young fellow, he has to become like you. I keep saying, boss, idea has to come from your belly.
What are certain things that gives you fulfillment these days, sir?
What is the purpose of your life? Your ambition in life is to give back. The government schools which I have adopted are like public schools at this point of time. The girl child population used to be 15% to 18%. Today, 56% of the children are girls. That gives us satisfaction.
Hi everyone, I'm your host Shivank and we are part of the 01 Network by Zerodha. Together, we intend to bring you insights from the top thinkers in the field of entrepreneurship, technology and investing. Tell me, are there certain things that you really want to do, but your age becomes a hindrance in those particular activities or things?
Not
Because we are very
really.
curious.
I think not really, I would say, because I paced my life in such a way at the age at which, do I have a ambition to act in a movie at this point of time as a hero? No, it doesn't. It doesn't come at all to me. I did enough in the profession that I had. Every piece of life, I enjoyed myself. When the age was on the right side of me, I must have seen about 70 to 80 countries around the world. Either it was in business or going on holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, we have, for instance, do you like to go more quickly than what you are? No. I like the pace at which I'm running the show. I'm a little reluctant in terms of taking an early morning flight, but I will still do it. Not that I'm not reluctant to it. See, that's what I'm trying to make up. There's nothing like, regretting in life. I could have kept quiet about it and told people that, look, I had a passion of learning music. It never happened. My younger days were very busy days. No. I said, now it's time. Boss, let's go learn it. Do I want to go and play a game of tennis? I tried once, and I don't think I'm the right age back to getting onto the tennis court. I said, so keep it away. What's the problem like? You want to keep yourself fit, your mind is alert, you just go and do what you like. So I don't think I have many wants left behind in life.
But generally, sir, for majority of people, and we were just talking about this, that so the graphs are very different. When you have lots of time and energy on your side, you don't have money. And when you have lots of money, you don't have time and energy. So how do you actually balance this off?
No, but actually I will say the other way around. I might not have had money in the initial years of my life, but I always had a lot of work to do because that was my passion of life. So I think whether it was when I started the company when I was 40 or even today, a 12-hour day is not unusual for me. So we worked hard. But as money started coming in, we started using it a little better. I actually at one point of time in 1970s, I used to have a scooter with me going to work. Then it became a car. They became 2 cars. You have luxury cars. The bigger luxury car is parked somewhere downstairs. So therefore, what do you do? You don't aspire to be, no, I want to buy a luxury car, so I'll cut all corners in life and I'll go and do all the mistakes of life. There are entrepreneurs who do that. The city of Hyderabad is full of them. they're all people in infrastructure. What you go do the bank, and then the first time that he gets a bank loan, what you see as a result of that is a new car parked in his porch. Why did you take the bank loan? Not for buying the car, boss. He is supposed to go and invest in the infrastructure. He make money out of it. Part of it is his money. He can buy the car thereafter. So therefore, it's all a question of how you start addressing your own wants and also moderate them based on the environment that you have, whether it's economic or social, cultural, all societal. All of them have to be taken into consideration to say, what do you modulate your life to be?
And so money can either get you things or experiences, right? Tell us about the best experiences that you had in life, sir, that you would recommend your granddaughter to do while she is in her 20s, 30s, because that's the time when the time is on our side.
After I went to IIT and came out, I'd still had the aspiration of going and studying in US, and which I did.
Michigan, right?
Michigan. So I keep telling people, in no way Michigan I would ever call out, especially in those days and times, that it's superior to IITs in terms of the knowledge, experience, faculty, etc. But what it was richer is give me a completely new dimension to my life. Working with different people, different mindset that they had, different cultures that they came from, different environment that they were in. That makes you holistic. So look around the world, go and meet people, and you start enjoying your life as a result of it. So you start realizing what life is all about. Then you start enjoying it yourself. It's not for somebody else's benefit.
So last episode we did with someone who sold his company to Tata Consumer for 5,000 crores, right? And we asked, what are some challenges in your life? What are you most worried about? What are some dilemmas? And he was worried about what will happen to the institutions that, or the wealth that he has created, right? So I think this will answer a lot of, entrepreneurs in that situation. You mentioned that you are different in many ways, and one of the ways was that you believe in institutional building.
So here's a real story that I used to be CEO of a company called OMC Computers before I became an entrepreneur in 1991, 1992. This was a stint I ran between 1982 to 1992. I was still on the board, even if I stepped down as CEO. I was the managing director of the company. It's an interesting company. It was floated by Tatas. Voltas was the founder of the company. A world-renowned computer scientist called Dr. Raj Reddy. And a third owner was Government of Andhra Pradesh, then AP, Electronic Development Corporation. And they said, we'll leave the 10% to the employees, and part of it was with me. The company this was a system integration company, primarily for the first time in India addressing the needs of CAD/CAM industry.
Which industry?
Computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing, computer-aided engineering. These were the things that it was doing. A couple of years into the company, and it was a fairly strong board, two people from Tatas, Mr. H. Tobakwala, Mr. N.J. Gigi Boy used to be on the board, and then two from Raj Reddy, two from the government, and two of us who were professionals also used to be on the board, me and an executive director. And the company was doing well, and I am, and I don't think I'll be defensive about it, that I'm a control freak. I'm a hands-on guy. I like to do things. So it was new to them. Yes, if you build an empire like Voltas or Mr. Tobakwala used to think that I probably had control on everything. So one day in a board meeting, he asked me this question, saying that, Mr. Reddy, suppose a bus comes and stops on you tomorrow. What happens to this company? I was taken aback, like you are. But then I took a deep breath and I said, Mr. Tobakwala, I'm not very sure about what happens to this company. What comes to my mind right now is my young wife and my two young children. I don't know, I should think first about what happens to them if bus comes. Because I didn't like, the way in which he asked that question. But strangely enough, after I started this company in 1992, and around 1997, 1998, somebody asked me the same question, saying that, Mr. Reddy, what happens to this company after you? We just went public at that point of time. So the thought then crossed to my mind, since I also went public and I already had 2,000 employees. I said, what happens to the future of these people? What happens to the future of my investors if I disappeared and this company went up in flames?
We call it key man risk. Huh?
Key man risk. So that is when wisdom dawned on me to say that, look, I have to build succession. And so what we did was we always, not from that day or a period of time, the top 100 leaders in the company will have a sealed envelope given to the HR every year saying that who are his potentially 2 successors. So if something happens to him, there's always a possibility of the other 2 people being looked at for succession for him or her. What we have done is we thought it's extremely important that we have this succession planning going on. But equally important as we step back for a minute is that the companies have to be built on values. Values drive your behavior, behavior drives your culture. So one of the things we always talk about in our company is values first, F-I-R-S-T first. But the F-I-R-S-T acronym stands for fairness, integrity, respect, sincerity, and trust or transparency. So these are the 5 core values we never compromised on. This, I keep saying, is the foundation for us. So if you look at the company, it was a very important board meeting that I just went through. I'm not the chairman, as I said. But today, the chairman, the CEO, the board have all the same. It also to do with somebody, a senior executive's exit in the company. But all the time they were saying we should be very fair to him, treat him with respect when we seek this separation, etc. Which is a good reflection of the values that we built into the company. The values have become a culture. So therefore, it's Krishna. Krishna will have a successor. Krishna is 48 years now. So he'll probably, in about 10 years or 15 years from now, he already has a successor because he's not the CEO of the company any longer. He's also stepped himself up. He's executive vice chairman of one company, executive chairman of the other company. So therefore, what is important, therefore, is that you build a company with values. That's number one. And the second one is, which is extremely important too, is recognize who are the stakeholders. It's an employee, obvious. It's the customer, obvious. The investor, the obvious. Not so obvious thereafter is the society also helps you to build the companies. I went to a government school when I paid 100 rupees as my school fees. No way that the 100 rupees was good enough, but the teacher did not starve to death. Who paid for the teacher's salary is primarily the society. So when I become successful, it becomes important for me to respect the society back again. We did enormous amount of work in that area, giving back to the society. Much before the CSR came at 2%, for last 20 years, we're started off with 1% of our profits going back into the society. Now it's become 2% society. And then if you look at this, to me, there are the 4 stakeholders who make companies successful. So there's a foundation of values, 4 pillars, which are these 4 stakeholders. Imagine yourself as an engineer. On top of that is a company where I'm sitting. Any of these 4 pillars become weak, you'll topple yourself and fall apart. So therefore, you have to be equitable to all the 4 stakeholders. But then these 4 stakeholders are also at conflict with each other. The customer wants the lowest price. The employee wants the highest salary. The investor wants better return. The poor, silent spectator is only the society. But you have to play your game well. You have to be equitable to all the people. Manage themselves well to make sure you're still stable on the top.
Can you give us a real life example of balancing all these 4 stakeholders?
Well, at one point of time, there was a lot of push we go to our AGMs. AGMs will continue to talk about saying that, why don't we increase the dividend payout? And we keep saying, no, we want to be equitable. We want to leave enough of money in the company for the growth of the company. So we wrote a policy at one point of time when the growth curve was much more sharper, 30% of our net profits will be given out as dividends. If you write a policy and follow that, then the poor people don't question. You reason it, logic it out. Then no, if you start saying this year I'll give you 10%, next year I'll give you another 55%, no logic, no reason associated with it, that's when people will challenge you. He said, here is my policy. You come in as an investor based on this policy document of mine. I slowly update up to 50% now. So 50% of profits go back. So we should have succumbed to them. And they will continuously say, sir, bonus issue they do. So actually, we feel very good about it. The other day, we now have two companies with us. One is called Cyient Limited, which is the services company. The other is called Cyient DLM, which is the DLM, Design-Led Manufacturing. That is our electronics manufacturing company. On that electronics manufacturing company, there is Jahangir, who was executive assistant to Mr. Ratan Tata.
Oh.
At one point of time. He is from the task services. He's on a board now. And Jahangir came to the board meeting and he saw what my investors spoke at the board meeting. At the AGM, sorry, not the board meeting, AGM, annual general meeting of the shareholders. They're loyal to me from 1997 when I took the parent company public. So they've been with me like 27 years. And they eloquently spoke, and Jahangir made this remark, Mr. Reddy, it reminds me the good old days when Mr. Ratan Tata used to have the same praise with the shareholders. That's the confidence we built with our shareholders. That's the trust we built with our shareholders. So they all think that, look, so long as you are following those 5 principles of values, you're fair, you're high levels of integrity, you're not here to loot them. You're here primarily to make sure that this is equitable. Are you not there for money? I am here for money. I clearly say that. I'm not here for a philanthropy. If I borrow money from anybody else, I think I have to respect that too. I keep telling my startup friends, please don't call it your company the day you start borrowing money. At that point of time, it is not your company, you're a custodian of public wealth. Public gave you money, and so you're the custodian of it.
So you mentioned a very interesting point that where values creates your behavior and your behavior drives the culture. How do you create value?
One sure way is that you become the role model. You lead by example. I came to office absolutely in time. Everybody will come to office thereafter. You come leisurely at 11 o'clock, the other guys will come at 12 o'clock. And they'll say, why? Why? What is the problem like? You start a meeting, you finish a meeting, there's a discipline associated with it. That's a value with it. They never see you making any of those transactions which are nefarious, which do not align with the company. They're very clear about it. The man talks openly, his life is open, he might wear good clothes, but I earned this money to wear good clothes. You earn the money, you wear good clothes too. So therefore, I think those are the ones, by example, you lead them. So therefore, what happens is that example leading will lead the behavior of other people. So it is it's a very positive, vicious game that goes on. Everybody is now following the same pattern. If you ask me this question, Mr. Reddy, will 100% of the people follow the same culture? Not necessarily true. Given the attrition that's there, I can't do it. I do my best. At one point of time, I used to spend a lot of money on training people, skilling people. But then I got very dejected thereafter. When you start seeing 11%, 14%, 15% attrition, you train a guy, he's gone because he thinks that he's got the skills to get a better job somewhere else. But at the same time, we now come to a reconciliation. Yeah, they'll leave anyway. But will you stop training? So you'll go down the tube if you stop training. So all of these, you balance them off well. So tell people how important training is. Tell people how loyalty is. But if still they're leaving, that's up to them.
Basically, you mean that culture is reflection of the founder's personality.
It becomes thereafter rest of the people. The behavior has now moved on to just not the founder, isn't it?
But the key...
No, key people. It's become much larger pool at this point of time.
So tell us about the sourcing strategy of a successor. So for in your case, the sourcing strategy was simple.
No.
You were lucky that it was your son, right?
No, not necessarily true.
Then?
It was not, nothing was carved in stone that the next successor was my son. And I always keep saying, as promoters of the company, okay, we want to see this, you have pride, you have your, lack of better word I'll use it called ego. You want this company to survive, the company to flourish. So one criteria that you will use is that, look, I want somebody who is capable enough to make this company run forever. That's one criteria. The second criteria, which is equally important to convince the family to further, if the company does well, financially, the most people got benefited out of it is the founder of the company.
Right.
I'm still the largest shareholder. So do you want money or do you want to take the name of a CEO and dump the company in doldrums? Neither money will be there, nor pride will be there. So if you're not competent enough, don't go into it. Stay from it. You see different business models that have evolved in the world. Some families don't make the succession that they'll become professional, but they'll still keep control of it. There's something called a parent board, which comes on top of the company's board. Parent board, you can be the chairman because you're only looking at counting the money. You're just making sure how the company is growing. You don't have the responsibility of a P&L, looking after your human resources, looking after the image, branding. All that is not your responsibility. So how you do it is nothing came in the plate. So I ran 3 people for a potential role of a CEO. And one of them actually, I think, could have made it because I thought the only reason why I was thinking about him was it a little too early for Krishna to take on the role of the CEO. He was 38 years old. I said, yeah, the company was becoming big. It was about $250 million company at that point of time, about 2,000 crores of revenue it had. So I asked this gentleman saying that Willie, he is UK based. He was reporting to me he came to an acquisition, 14 years he worked with me. Good guy, competent guy, still with me right now. He also did not leave. And he said, no, Mohan, no way that I'll move from London to here. My wife will kill me is what he said. So therefore, it's not that, we decided the pros and cons thereafter and said the best choice was Krishna between 3 of them. And more important than that, the board elected him. So I presented all the 3 cases to the board and allowed them to deliberate and take a decision.
Tell us 2 things, sir. As a promoter, you were very equanimous to all the 3 people. And the board elected. But is there, and we don't understand it and we are just curious to know, but is there a backlash from the shareholders of the company when they see that the promoter's son is going to be the next promoter of the company? And although you, in your case, were doing that, equanimously, but
No, you also do that. How does acceptance come?
How does acceptance come?
Correct. Acceptance come because, you showcase the person. You make sure that he is exposed to. So Krishna did not come and suddenly one day parachute himself as the CEO of the company. He worked for 14 long years. He was 1999 is an undergrad. 2004 he went to business school. 2004 he got his MBA. So 10 years he worked with us after MBA, post MBA. Now he was in different roles. And the last role he was chief operating officer with me for 2 years. The chief operating officer, he was to also sit with the investor calls. And we gave him enough room to speak, enough room to impress the investors. So then it becomes smooth. So if you start suddenly parachuting and surprising people about the roles that they have, then there's a challenge. But if you plan it well, the acceptability is very high.
What were some other things that you did, sir, for this transition of succession into, to take care of this institution?
Well, we groomed him well. To me, very important is knowledge. So we got him well educated. Undergrad from Purdue, MBA from Kellogg Business School, level-headed man. The family brought him up with good values. It's not a question of having wealth, not having wealth, but making sure that these children understood what wealth was very important. So values were very good. And then thereafter, you start exposing them to business so that, they know how hard it is to climb step at a step. They mix with engineers, they mix with managers, they mix with vice presidents, then they go to the next level. And then you also expose them to the board. Board also has to understand what this person is. Is he a true person? And finally, I think what is extremely important also, we brought a mentor for him. Because the family cannot be a mentor, in my view.
Why do you say so?
Because you're too soft to him. You're biases. You're too soft. You can't tell harsh things. But a mentor would tell you harsh things. First few years I knew when Ravi Bhuthalingam was Krishna's mentor, he used to give him homework every month. So they used to meet twice every quarter. And in a meeting, if he gives you homework, you should come back and report that homework the next quarter. So that is how professional they could be. So therefore, it's a combination of many things that bring in a good succession.
I don't know your definition of success, but to the general world, to all the young folks, you are very successful because of the billions of dollars of exports that you have done, because of awards that you have won, because of so much wealth creation that you have done for yourself and shareholders. If you were again in your early 20s, in 2024, right? You have done that once. What are certain things that you would do now to again create that amount of impact and wealth for yourself? If you had to guide a 20-year-old to do that, because you have done that, what would you do again?
You see, I'm not be sound defensive about it. A couple of things I will say. The first one is that I would say I would have probably been more aggressive than what I was. Um, but the aggression does not come in because, you also come from a conservative upbringing, middle class upbringing, first generation entrepreneur. You'll be very, very cautious compared to what it is. Maybe, entrepreneurship is also taking decisions which are moving to unexplored territories, spend money and so on and so forth. I could have done that much better. I see the current generation doing that. For instance, Krishna does that. But Krishna has a different platform compared to mine. His platform is far, far different. Any day, you can count on it, at least at 2,000 crores of bank balance is there. So therefore, the result is your showcase to life is completely different. Whereas in my first years, I used to think about how does the family run if this goes bombs off on itself. So therefore, what happens is if I were to redo the stuff or I have to relive myself, hindsight tells me maybe you should have been more aggressive than what you have done. The second one is that I probably again could have done a lot more delegation comparatively. I keep telling people I was a control freak. I probably wanted everything to be together. Maybe did I hold up some of the growth because of but the moment I think we started realizing the growth has to come by, we did move well. I think in as early as 2000, I bought a company of a similar size with all cash deal in London.
The semiconductor one, right?
No. The London was data view solutions.
Okay.
It is 2000, 24 years
Okay.
back, 24 years back. So therefore, I don't think there's so many things that I could say that I would have probably do it differently. And I think it's not a fair question to ask because, reposition yourself into that mold. But I would say that, in the times that I lived, I did my best.
In 2024, if you had zero capital and zero connection, but you know how world works, what is something that you will do to create that impact and the wealth again?
See, I'll go and sell this idea. Ability to communicate is a key thing. So you have no money, you're saying.
No money, zero capital, zero connection, but you have
Great.
all the knowledge that you know.
Great idea. So therefore, knowledge is there, idea is there with me now. So there's a new idea that comes by, which is probably going to completely wipe out ChatGPT.
Okay.
Okay. If I have that idea with me and I know I have the solution for it, how it's done, how large language models can be built more cheaper, they can be much faster, they won't be so compute intensive. If I knew all those stuff as my knowledge with me, how do I then take it off? Is go and make sure that some money has to come by. It can't be thin air, cannot build a company. I have to convince people. So I'll go take this idea, become a good storyteller in terms of being a good communicator. And once the money comes, I'll be an extraordinary executor. I will flawlessly execute what I have told people. But I will certainly keep in mind this knowledge has taught me, build the trust with people you're working with your ecosystem. To me, trust is a very simple definition. What is it? Under promise, over deliver. That's what I do. So that's the knowledge. So if you do a combination of these three things I just called out, I think you'll still be there.
There is another problem statement, sir. Let's say that you have to start a new design-led manufacturing company, right? As a promoter, you would not know the entire nitty-gritties. So the question is that you were a mechanical engineer, and you had to start something in computers. So how did you went to take that knowledge, which was completely unrelated to your degree, and how do you do that?
No, the two things I have to paraphrase with. As much as I said I wanted to start off in computers, my first job for the first 2.5 years was not in computers. I actually was a senior management trainee. In those days, it is the dream job from a company called DCM, Delhi Cloth Mills. I used to be an SMT, senior management trainee. And the first job they gave me was in Hyderabad, all right. It was one of the companies called Shriram Refrigeration. And the job I had was assembling diesel engines, 25 of them every shift, 3 shifts a day, 6 days a week. That's the role that I had. So I understood what a manufacturing means, what assembly means, what workers mean. That part of it was there. The second, then of course I switched into computers. But the second part I had was in 1982 to 1992, where I was the CEO of OMC Computers. As I said, it was a system integration company. So we assembled our own computers. Some parts and subsystems came by. So I had a good flavor for manufacturing too. Today, I pride myself in saying I understand manufacturing better. The second one is the reason why we went into manufacturing is also, if you go back and look at what business we do, our business is primarily design engineering services. We provide design as a service to customers. So as a result of that, what happens is that we do a lot, take the example of, say, a healthcare device, monitoring your pulse rate, the oximeters. It's a very simple device. We did the design for them. We understand how the whole sensor has to work. It's all to do with the color of your blood and so on and so forth. Take millions of images and triangulate them thereafter. And then we said, what does the customer do thereafter? He sends the same design to a manufacturer and asks him to manufacture them. We said, why don't we do it ourselves? Rather than allowing, that's how the thesis was. The thesis, exactly in a very simple terminology, was our ability to design gave us a right to play in the manufacturing market.
And what are certain things that gives you fulfillment these days, sir?
Fulfillment that gives me is certainly my contribution back to the society. So I used to ask this question to myself at one point of time. And the question to myself is, what is the purpose of your life? Why are you here? What do you want to do in life? So, purpose of life answer is, there is a very interesting poem by a woman called Linda Ellis. The poem is called The Dash, D-A-S-H. So, when people appear in the world and then disappear from this world, all of them rest in 6x4 in a peaceful land. On the tomb, there's something called the tombstone. Irrespective of religion, there is one there. And the tombstone has the name of the person, the day he was born, a dash, and the day he disappeared. So if you look at those elements, none of those elements, you have a control on them. What you have control is on the dash. Dash is what you contributed back to the society for living that long in this society. So therefore, your ambition in life is to give back. What have you contributed? What will you be known? Mr. Reddy is known as a very honest entrepreneur, gives me a satisfaction. He created 18,000 jobs, gives me satisfaction. He turned around at 20 lakhs of his investment into an enterprise which is now valued at about 30,000 crores. Gives me satisfaction, right? The government schools, which I have adopted 34 of them, have now 34 of them are like public schools at this point of time. They're like private schools. And when we adopted these schools, which now have a population of 20,000 children, used to have the girl child population used to be 15% to 18%. And after adoption today, 56% of the children are girls. That gives us satisfaction. We run a program called, which is jointly done with, my granddaughter is involved in it. It's called 100 by 100 by 100. What is 100 by 100 by 100? We take 100 girls who are 12th pass or 12th failed, skill them for 100 days, guarantee them 100 jobs. How do you guarantee them? You did your research, the jobs in demand before you skill them. And she has now run 7 batches. It's not 100, we run them as 120, assuming that 20% will fall out, but not a single person has fallen out. 840 of them, 100% of them, we made sure that they got placed. That gives us satisfaction. You do your contribution back to the society. So these are the ones which keeps you happy, gives you sleep.
Very impactful, sir. Very impactful.
And somebody who worked for me, spent 2 years with me as my trainee, becomes an IAS officer. He's now the additional chief secretary to Government of Assam.
Oh.
Yeah. He still says, Mr. Reddy, it's your training which made me different.
What's his name?
Kalyan Chakravarti.
Wow. He's in Assam right now.
Assam cadre. IAS officer.
Do you face any dilemmas now?
No. I don't think so.
Okay. And what are you teaching your grandchild?
Values first. That's the first thing that we teach them. Be honest person, be very trustworthy person, be sincere in what you do. And one thing of course, one change that has happened in my life is that if you ask me a question, lots of people come to me, given my profile, etc., said, what should I make this my child? What should he, which the course he should take? And my answer to them all the time used to be, engineering is one solution to all of them, okay? One cure for all diseases, that's what it used to be. But in the last 10 years, I've changed. I keep saying, I've changed to a level to say, please allow the child to do what the child likes, period. He'll be successful irrespective of what he does. It doesn't mean only doctors and engineers, because the world has changed. The world has changed, that only doctors and engineers are not going to be successful. Many others will also be successful. So therefore, you have to keep pace with the times. I teach a course in IIT.
Wow. What's that?
Leadership.
Okay.
A 1 credit course, 15 contact hours.
When are you doing this year?
This year I'm not doing it.
Okay.
So therefore, in the class, for example, in the very initial years, when I started doing about 7 years back or 8 years back, I was slightly, you can see, visibly annoyed if people are not paying attention to you. So, but over a period of time, realizations come to me, why they're not paying attention to you? Is because you're not interesting. So your effort then has to be to make it interesting rather than get annoyed with that guy. And then, we started seeing, if you start verbosing, I believe the magic number is 12 minutes at this point of time. But anyway, anything beyond 12 minutes in one unidirectional stuff, you lost them. The brave guy I keep saying, brings his smartphone above the desk. Not so brave guy brings his smartphone below the desk, but both of them are doing the same thing. They're texting. Okay, so what have we done? We need to make the class more interesting, more interactive. The questions are to be raised. So that is how we change.
And this ability to predict future. And then I was reading that the best way to predict future is to actually build it. So you not only predict the future, you actually build that. And that, I think, was one of your reasons for your success, right? What are certain things that you're predicting nowadays? What do you think? What will happen 20, 30 years down the lane? And give us very specific, pinpointed things that you have studied and read and that you have huge conviction on.
So before I answer the question, let me share with you a joke.
Yes.
So my young granddaughter, who's now 17, all right, maybe it's about 3-4 years back, she came to an event with me. Okay. So, like left, right and center, people were using this word called visionary. And so as soon as we finished the event and we got in the car, she said, Tata, explain me what is this word called visionary. So I said, visionary is one person who sees ahead of many others. That's a visionary. So she said, look at the road and tell me what are you seeing ahead of you that I can't see at this point of time. Right away, she was joking with me. But the fact of life is our ability to see, how do we see that, is basically more amount of reading, more amount of thought processes that you apply yourself. So if I apply myself, one thing that I am very upbeat about is in the next 20, 30 years, whether we like it or we don't like it, AI will be there everywhere. It doesn't matter which, it is not going to be there only in technology companies. It will be in agriculture, it will be in logistics, it will be in healthcare, it will be in every place that you can think about. And therefore, everybody has to be very tech savvy. People get very worried saying that as a result of that, do we lose our jobs? And I keep saying no. Some jobs will be lost, but then it doesn't mean that you lost your professional life. How can you make up for that is to get yourself skilled. So therefore, the second point I always make is you continuously upskill yourself, which of course it leads into the next thing, which is you have to do continuous learning, right? And which also then leads into the next question. Unlike me, who did not have this luxury of life, that you can now learn anywhere, anytime, on demand. But we did not have that. I went to IIT Kanpur. I went to the library. I wanted to read a book. Book was not there. Go to the librarian and ask her what it is. You say, oh, bad luck. Just now that book went out.
15
only
days.
one copy. 15 days. That's what the answer was. So therefore, whereas now the situation is far, far different. If I have an urge, as soon as you leave, even I climb the stairs upstairs, my office is somewhere upstairs. So I go there. I'll definitely be looking at something which is interesting. So therefore, I think what I see as future is going to be a knowledge economy. People who have skills will be successful. So therefore, focus on skills is my visionary thought.
Very interesting. So because you are working on the cutting edge design and cutting edge engineering solutions, sir, give us some insight, because a lot of people, a lot of young students are very, very, very far from what actually is happening in the field. Give us some couple of very interesting technology that you guys are working on and that you believe will be huge in upcoming years.
Now, one thing which I think will become a lot more advanced is mobility. Mobility is a big thing that will happen. When you say mobility, immediately people will think autonomous cars. But it's not autonomous cars, it will be autonomous flying vehicles, autonomous planes, autonomous drones, all these. So mobility will be a big progressive measure that we will see. The second that one we'll see is that will be a lot of consciousness towards sustainability. Because people are all very worried about, and we're seeing actions at this juncture. Whether, the rains come late, rains come in one shot. It's all because of the global warming that is happening. So people are very consciously looking at reducing the carbon footprint, reducing the emissions, and which also will, and with the advancement in technology, there's a fairly large amount of depletion of our resources, natural resources we're talking about. Therefore, move more towards a circular economy. 90%, the norm is 90% of what you're using as material should be reusable in the next product that you're making. Only 10% can be depleted out of what you're doing. So these are some of the areas we believe will have enormous amount of potential. One is mobility, the other is sustainability.
And is there any specific technology that you are really fascinated by, that you have recently seen, which has shocked you? Has something shocked you in life recently?
Well, several things, of course. Microsoft has was it Microsoft or Google? One of them have a virtual reality product, which you don't need computers anymore. You don't need keyboards anymore. You just wear a pair of glasses, and then, it creates a scene in front of you that you can now peek and poke and drag and drop. That was awesome that day.
You tried it?
I tried it.
Lovely. So tell us, how can a young person find a mentor? And this is a very dumb question, but this is very important for us to know.
I think it is. It's not an easy answer that I can give. Because first you need to find out what is the areas that you require mentoring. Yeah, self-assessment has to be done. And the second one is go to the web and search for people. There are people who can do that. People can do it for a fees. People can do it free of cost, and so on and so forth. So it all depends upon what appetite, what urgency you have in terms of getting those people. In case of Krishna, we found something more interesting. We said, this young man, if you say this is your mentor, he'll work with this guy, he'll never work. So we told him, go find your mentor. And he found one. He went in search, social circles too. By the time he was 34 or 35 years old, he is in the, what's it called? President's Club. No, what's it?
YPO.
YPO.
Young President
Young President Organization. YPO. He's also in International President's Organization, IPO, whatever it is. And I think, those are the connections that we make. Or you said G.V. Prasad. So G.V. Prasad he also knows him very well, Prasad. And so Prasad was potentially one more person that he thought could mentor with him. Prasad said, Krishna, look at this board member of mine, Ravi Bhuthalingam. I don't know where you heard his name. More than him, his father was very famous. Indian tax code was written by his father. Oh. So that's why it was called Bhuthalingam Committee Report. The income tax rules were all written by his father. That's what it was. This gentleman was actually the chairman of Wazir Sultan Tobacco. Then he became Oberoi Group chairman.
What's his name?
Ravi Bhuthalingam.
Okay.
Ravi Bhuthalingam. And then he became a professional mentor. So he also serves on the board. Now he's been stepped down. He's about 80 plus.
Mm-hmm. So, because you know GV sir and we are hosting him next, if you were to interview GV Prasad sir, what is one thing that you would ask him? So, we believe that questions are like keys to knowledge. What is something that he can teach us? What are certain things that we can learn from him? What is something that you would ask him if you were to interview?
He gets into a very complicated family structure of business.
Okay.
Mine is very simple. Okay. I am the entrepreneur. I am the founder. I have one son. He takes over. I groomed him, etc.
Because you are on board of so many institutions, right? And you have had an opportunity of getting, constituting your board of listed companies. Tell us one very interesting incident that happened in one of the board meetings that led you with a lot of thinking and that kind of, changed your life. What happens? What was one of the most interesting incident that happened in a boardroom, sir?
One of the things that made me think so good about a colleague board member, which I thought always good about him, is that Satyam Computers, was a listed company in Hyderabad. They had PwC as an auditor. And the signatory for the audit was a guy called Gopal, S. Gopal. And then it went up in flames. Next quarter, we were doing our board meeting. Our auditors were also PwC. Our signatory signing partner was S. Gopal. That is fine. I still can defend that. But here what I think PwC wanted to play the trick on, they wanted to show the world how very strict they were with their audit processes. So there was a transaction to do with booking gains and losses with foreign exchange. We do foreign exchange forward covers as they're called. And the government had issued a new regulation about 14 days or 15 days before the board meeting. They interpreted in such a way that I had to write all the losses of a future in one quarter. The rule is whatever is realized during that quarter, you write the losses, or that's all. And they're hypothetical also. So that day, which means that, look, that quarter I would have suffered losses. Hypothetical is not money loss, it's hypothetical loss. But it would have probably made our image right in the ground. Our audit committee chairman, who is now the chairman of the board, Mr. M. Murugappan, we started the audit committee meeting at 6 o'clock. He argued the case till 1:30 in the night. It went all the way to the senior most partners of PwC. That made me believe that, look, this man has nothing to gain from me. His only thing that he would gain is that, he made a commitment that he'll serve on the board and he wants to make sure truth prevails. That's a big learning that I have from the board. So people have to be absolutely dispassionate about things and say that I create value for this company. He knew, he was convinced that was not the way in which doing. He also saw through that these guys are playing the mischief because newspapers should say PwC now finds, they can find things to not true. That's one thing that comes to my mind.
Do you believe in God?
I believe in God.
Okay.
I believe in him saying that, I don't know him. I've never seen him. But he is an extraterrestrial power. Faith in him makes you feel more comfortable. Will he solve your problems? I don't know. Solutions will be found. Is he solving it? I don't know. I solved the problem. But the trust in him makes you think comfortable.
Tell us a very clear-cut opportunity or tell us a very clear-cut problem statement and problem statement from your life or business that you want to solve for. And if any young person is solving for that, you're ready to back him up, support him up.
You'll be very disappointed to hear this answer from me. But I keep saying we should never define a problem for somebody to solve. They should go find the problems. That's where they'll have the passion for. And they have to find a solution for it. You come and tell me saying that I have some options, 3 things I have discovered. What does your wisdom tell me? Where do you want to lean towards? I'll tell you that. But lots of people bring their children to me saying that, Reddy Garu, give us one idea. This young fellow, he has to become like you. Give one idea, he'll become like you. That's all. Very bright guy. Very good marks he got. But he's not getting ideas. I keep saying, boss, idea has to come from your belly. It has not to come from me. So I will never give ideas to people. That has to come out of their passion. They should look at it. I keep telling people, take a bus, go to villages, live there for a week. You'll find what problems they're facing. Come back and see the scale of the problem. Solve the problem. That's what you should do. You should not come and talk to me and say, give me a problem, I'll solve it.
My dear sir, thank you so much for being generous with your time.